we are covering e-signature processes in CobbleStone Contract Insight. If you haven't already, I recommend watching the previous video that offers an overview of the IntelliSign and document collaboration add-on module. But if you haven't watched that video, for a quick introduction, the e-signature process tool is used for more complex signature processes. To quickly contrast this to IntelliSign, IntelliSign is CobbleStone's proprietary one-off signature processes. Used for one-off signatures, you want to send it to one or two people for signature. Meanwhile, e-signature processes are pre-built signature processes that can go to more than two people, right? So you can pre-establish these processes with conditions to determine who the signatures are going to go to. So these are usually better for more complex processes that are being signed by more than two people, or if you have rigorous conditions to determine who will sign, you can pre-bake those conditions into the process to make sure the document is being signed by the right people every time. More often than not, I recommend using IntelliSign, but this is really nice if you have those more, complex needs that you want to cater to. So let's first show an example of how to use this tool, and then we'll quickly talk about the setup. So I'm under the Attachments and Templates tab on a contract, and e-signature processes and e-approval processes are built on document templates. So you'll need to merge a template, either manually or have this done automatically via a workflow. I'll go ahead and just do this the manual process. Okay, now we're going to skip through these two tabs here, Overview and e-approvals. These are covered in previous videos. Overview is covered in the document template videos in Unit 3, and e-approvals are covered in this video series, but in a prior video. So now let's jump over to e-signatures. In my case, I have 3 groups. Let's just collapse these for easier viewing. Here is group 1, for example. It is going to go, in this case, to an external contact. Then it goes to group 2 for internal review and execution. And then in this case, I have a conditional signature process for high-risk contracts. Maybe it's above a certain dollar amount or something like that. So you can introduce conditions here as well. And it's simply going to flow in order, go into group 1, 2, 3. Before you initiate this process, you may change the signatory. So it can go to any of these reviewers, any of these signatures, and then click Set Participant. And then just change the participant from the drop-down list. All right, so here's all of my employees I could choose from. This one is an external point of contact, so I could click that caret, click Set Participant, and I could choose between other external points of contact with this organization. I may also add participants, so if you need to include extra people from what the default says, you could do that. Just click Add Participant. And you could also remove participants. So sometimes participants are going to be locked and required from when this was set up, but in this case, I'd be able to remove them if I want to. So unlike workflow, these process flows are pre-established, they're defaulted, but you can come in and change them. Whereas a workflow is going to be pre-built and it's going to follow the same process flow every time. Follow its conditions, of course, but still. This, on the other hand, and e-approval processes allow you to come in and change the participants, tweak the process before you actually initiate it. So I'll click Start Signature Process at the top right. There are a few settings that I can modify. First, I have the title. It defaults to this generic title, but I could change it if I want to. I can add a description that will appear in the emails. The signature type, it will default to electronic signatures, or you can change this to wet paper signatures if you want to. Next, we have 2 signing actions, placeholder signatures and free-form signing. I usually recommend using placeholder signatures, which will allow you to drag and drop the signature placeholders into the file. As opposed to free-form signing, you don't add any placeholders. These signatories will simply sign wherever they please, really. I like the extra step of making sure they sign where I want them to. The reply to employee is the employee that is the primary CC on the process. It's going to default to you, or my name in this process. I could change it. If I want someone else to be the primary CC, I could do that, but I'll leave it on my name in this case. Then I have auto attach type. If you are sending more than one document for signature, you can allow those documents to come back as separate attachments, or you can combine them into one larger PDF document. We'll just leave this in separate attachments, but this latter option is really nice if that's what you're looking for. Now let's click Save. Next, I'm going to confirm the files I want to send for signature. Right now I have two, because there was two files in this template package, but I'm going to reselect this and just choose the one file. Go with that and attach. And then I'm going to click this caret icon and click Add Placeholders. Okay. Now I can just go to the signature lines and I'll drag and drop the placeholders onto the line. Okay. If I want to do this for another individual, I can do that. Just click this signature and form fields dropdown and choose the other individual. So right now this is on external contact. Let's change this to internal, and I could drag and drop for that person instead. Okay. We'll just leave it as that as an example and click Save and Close. Okay, now we're fully validated. Let's click Start Process. Now the signatory will receive an email that looks something like this. Okay, it contains information about the signature process. We'll just go ahead and click Sign Document. Now that we're in the eSignature portal, we can just click Start, move down to the signature block. I have a predefined signature here. I have a default signature set up in my system, so just applied that. I can click it though and make adjustments to it if I want by typing, using my save signature, or drawing a signature. I'll click Adopt, and then at the bottom, just click Accept and Finalize. Great, then we're all done. The signature process will then move on to person number 2, and then 3 in this case. But that's what we'll work through here as an example. I want to quickly show that back in the signature process dashboard, under the Signature Groups tab, the external signer is approved, this next signer is in process, and the last signatory is still pending. We're not going to work through all the signature processes here, but that's how eSignature processes work. I also want to show you that you can monitor the eSignature processes from the contract and navigate back to this page by going to View All Actions on the left-hand side, down to Document Processing, and click Signature Processes. Now here are our existing and our previous eSignature processes on this contract. Now, to conclude this video, let's quickly talk about the setup of eSignature processes. It's very similar to eApproval process setup if you watch that video. But we are going to go to the main menu, Manage Setup, Document Templates, and then let's go Manage a Document Template. Again, eSignature and eApproval processes are built on document templates. I'll go click Consulting Agreement, Manage, and then I'm going to go over to Approvals and Signatures. We've talked about eApprovals in a previous video, so let's target eSignature flows and groups here. Okay, it's pretty straightforward. Just open up these groups, and you can see the participants within each group. Right, this is the external signer. Here's the internal. Okay, if you want to set conditions to them, you can. Simply just click the caret icon on the group, click Rules, and then you can choose a field to build conditions. These do need to be the fields that you have selected back in the mergeable field selection on the document template. So this won't be necessarily every field, but it will be quite a few of them. If you want to change the participants, you can. Just click the caret icon, click Add Participant, and you can choose the participant from the drop-down list, add a title, a description, and choose if they're locked or not. If they're locked, they're not able to be removed from individual eSignature processes. And when you do this, this does change the default, right? So next time I would go to initiate an eSignature process, it would use the default settings I set up right here. If you want to add a permanent new group, simply just click Add New Group. Give the group a name, a description if you want to. On completion set status, this is similar to a workflows status update, where when this particular group is finished, it can update the status of the contract. So if this is like the last signature in the process, it might change the status of the contract to active, for example. And then we can set up signature reminders. Here's number of days for notice, okay, and then the number of notices after that. So as an example, this would mean after 2 days of not signing the document, we're going to send them a notification. And then after that, they're going to receive one more notification. And then I'll hit save, and that would save the group, and then can add participants to the default group. And again, this does not mean the group cannot be removed each time you use the eSignature process, but it does incorporate this new group into the default process going forward. So, right, eSignature processes are pretty straightforward to set up and use. In my opinion, it's very, very similar to like how you use it day to day. This more or less just sets up the default process. With any questions, reach out to training@cobblestonesoftware.com. Thank you.